Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Sheldon, and this is another episode of The Hobby Garden, Season 2. Now, last week, I spoke about how well the garden was growing. I was really happy. I was excited that everything was sprouting up really nicely. And then Mother Nature took over and decided, hey, things are going well. I'm going to give you more rain. Excessively more rain. Thanks. So, now, unfortunately, I have to deal with all of this mess of weeds. As you guys can see, complete mess of weeds. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I am only one man. I can't do this all by myself unless I spend all day weeding. So, let's take a closer look at the absolute jungle of a mess of a garden that I now have and see how much work is going to be involved. So let's dig into that. So Mr. Owl here is giving me a really awkward look because he thinks I'm slacking when in reality I have not been slacking. However, as you guys can see, we have a row here, a row here, supposed to have a row right here. We have our tarp, weed mat, whatever you want to call it. That actually is working. That is the only way I'm going to be able to get into the garden right now, so that is actually a very good thing. So if you guys are considering doing this type of thing with your gardens, I highly recommend that. Then we have another row. And these yellow ones right here, I can't even tell what anything is anymore. Like, it's just a mess. We're supposed to actually have 3 rows right here. Now, this is one of the things that I warned my dad about when he was planting, and he did not heed my warning. So he really messed up on the stuff that he planted, because I didn't plant any of this. Unfortunately, I was at work and he decided to just get her done. So then we have the beets, or lack thereof. Actually, this whole section here is just a complete mess of weeds all throughout here. There are literally no plants growing in here whatsoever. Now, if we go into the back row, you guys can see that I do have some mystery plants growing here. For anyone who remembers from the other video, these are the plants where I put some seeds in and I asked you guys to guess what they are. These are actually rather big right now, so if you guys have any guesses as to what they are, leave your guesses in the comments section down below. It's probably obvious. Well, should be obvious if you had an idea from the beginning of my favorite plant that is edible but generally used as a garnish, or at least that's how I'm wording it. I may be tricking you guys a little bit. We have our huge pumpkin plant here, which is suffering a little bit. I believe there is some sort of mold growing on it just like last year. It looks slightly different, as you guys can see right there, so that's not good at all. We do have some more plants over here. The garden, because there's so many weeds, I'm actually going to step in the garden, just because I'm not actually going to sink through, because there's so many weeds that I can actually step on all the weeds here, and I won't sink into the garden, even though the ground is super, super squishy and moist. So be careful of that. I could potentially sink. So got more, I believe these are squash here. I did have some more plants growing around here. There's one right there. I believe this might be pumpkin as well. Then we also have corn. This is very reminiscent of last season when we were experimenting. Now, as you guys can see, there is a lot of yellowing. The yellowing, from what I recall, is too much water. There has literally been so much water going around the garden. It's not visible right now, but the trench, you guys can see it the trench that still goes around, that was right full the other day. So the water has drained a little bit. However, the potato plants, these are very, very yellow. So that is not a good thing. You guys definitely don't want to see that. And the other curious thing, there are flowers. I've never seen pinkish flowers on potato plants before, so that's kind of cool, I guess. But as you guys can see, things are so overwhelmed in the garden right now that I am going to have one heck of a task of waiting for this to dry for one thing, because it's still a little too wet to be in there. I know I did step on some weeds to kind of give you guys a good vantage point for this video, but aside from that, if I start working in the garden right now, I'm probably going to ruin all of this area, which is not too big of a deal because I don't have anything growing in there because the beets, for whatever reason, didn't want to grow. And this section over here is probably the only area where I'm actually going to have a chance to weed the garden within the next couple of days before the weekend. And unfortunately, the forecast is telling me more rain on Saturday and Sunday. So, Mr. Owl, what do you think of that? Do you like rain? I don't. So, here's the thing. I'm going to do my best to weed the garden, and I'm also going to show you guys a little bit of the bathtub where I have more unfortunate results. All right, guys, so as you can see, I do have some tomato plants here that are growing rather well. They are going to be a little bit squished, so I may take a couple of those out just so that they do get a little bit more breathing room. However, as you guys hopefully remember from last season, I had radishes all throughout this, and this season, unfortunately, yeah, I have this lone radish that came up. I have no idea if it's even going to get big enough to even resemble a radish by the end of the season, but I think the bathtub is in just a really bad location. It doesn't get very much sun. However, there are some positives. The tomato plants are growing. They are a little bit behind, but they are growing. That is one good thing. And the rhubarb, I don't really know what's going on with the rhubarb, but the rhubarb is really, really, really bad this season. However, the one thing that I am really looking forward to, it's actually the best thing that I have going on right now, even though it is very, very overcrowded, are the raspberries. So, yes, fresh raspberries, more raspberries, so many raspberries. So I'm really excited to have one of these. I might even, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna have one right now. These are actually looking pretty nice. If I leave them too much longer, ants could get to them. So you just gently pull these off. And if you see anything on them, like this one does have a little speck of something on there. I don't know what it is. Just gonna pull that off in case it's a bug, because I don't really care for eating bugs. But I'm gonna eat this right now. All right, so mosquitoes are chomping at the bit. They want a piece of Sheldon, and I don't want to give it to them. So here's that raspberry. Doesn't look like any ants have nibbled on it, so. Initially it was sweet, but then it was a little bit bitter near the end. But not too bad. So, one raspberry, pretty good. So, The other ones, actually, for any of you guys who want to grow raspberries, they're actually pretty easy. You just leave them in a bin, they grow, check on them however often you can, because bugs will get at them, so you want to eat them as soon as you see them. Generally, I just eat them. I don't really worry about washing them too often because I don't use pesticides or anything. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up because mosquitoes are biting me and I'm shedding blood. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. As I said, I'm getting attacked by mosquitoes. I'm not editing this video, I don't care. So make sure to smash that like button if you guys like this video. Leave some comments down below and tell me how much you hate mosquitoes because they're bugging the crap out of me right now. And if you guys haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe so you guys get notified of the next video that I post, provided the mosquitoes don't suck me dry. And I will catch you guys in the next one.